But the personality is, as we kind of say, we know, but a lot of people understand it to be, it's formed from your experiences, especially young experiences when you're 3, 4, 5 years old, whatever, forms the basis, and then everything that happens somehow shapes you. And what you're saying is that keeps running. Absolutely. As the personality.
Yeah.
Now, what about the gross side of the personality? Does that
the neurotic drive to find oneness simply falls away, and then there's something that's very harmonious there, that was there anyway. But the whole neurotic drive to find, which is, or there isn't anybody in the world that isn't actually seeking oneness in the end. What we see in the manifestation is simply the longing to come home. All desire is a longing to come home. That falls away, and anything that's around that's neurotic, falls away. But the character still goes on. Habits, preferences still happen, but they aren't anybody's. It's the brain functioning in the world.
How about, quote, bad habits? Do they go on?
They could, although to some extent, again, or the habit of drinking too much, let's say, doesn't matter, is really only a seeking for the comfort of not being whole. So when that isn't there anymore, there wouldn't be a wish to drink a lot or smoke a lot.
Okay.
But all those are addictions, but the greatest addiction of all, of course, is me.
Yes. You've got a great laugh. I've never met you before. I've never seen you before. So yeah. It's a great laugh. It's infectious. But this point really interests me, so I'm going to persevere a little bit on it. That's okay. So let's say somebody, let's take the example of this guy, Benjamin, I used. Okay, he had his realization with the gun. Now let's say he hadn't had it at that point, and he was in a situation, and he used the gun or whatever, or was thinking of using the gun. After whatever happened to you, liberation happens. Is he still capable of killing somebody?
It's possible, but there isn't anybody in there that would do that. Nobody's ever killed anybody. The whole illusion that the added individualism is real is a fallacy. So there isn't anybody that chooses to do anything. Of course, the whole body, mind, the whole physiology acts in the way it does and in character. But the whole idea that anybody has ever chosen to do anything falls apart. But you can't then say after liberation that this will happen and that won't.
No, I understand that, but I'm looking for a kind of more of a, it is my mind, but I'm looking for an understanding of how the personality refines, let's say. That's the word I'm using, it wasn't your word, but you were kind of inferring that the gross, the addiction drops away, and wouldn't like a gun or violence, wouldn't that drop away as an addiction, because that's a grossness?
It would do, but I can't say it will.
No, I understand that.
There aren't any rules. There's boundlessness, and in boundlessness, which is actually simply absolute love.
Yeah.
It's the absolute unconditional love. Of course, unconditional love embraces everything. Tyranny, ugliness, discomfort. After liberation, discomfort still happens. It isn't suddenly that you're walking in the Elysian fields in absolute heaven. Yeah. There's nobody walking. There's just what happens. And that can include pain, unhappy, or not unhappiness, but pain, discomfort, all those things happen. So there aren't any rules. You can't say that liberation is about what we think of as goodness.
Okay. And would you in your space, that's the nearest I can get in my language to where you are, would you experience fear, anxiety sometimes?
I wouldn't experience fear, but fear happens.
Okay.
So there's nobody anymore experiencing anything. There's just what happens, and that can include fear.
And that fear is happening in your personality, presumably?
It's just happening. It's a feeling. I mean, in the end, fear is a very simple thing. It's just a feeling in the body, isn't it? It's a sense of something hot, and if you like, which happens. But of course, now that it's not happening to anyone, there's nobody taking delivery of it. There's nobody taking fear home to tea.
Right, so it's not
the most important thing is thinking. Thinking still happens after liberation, but there's no one listening.
Okay, so the fear can't really anchor itself.
No, there's nothing to anchor it onto. It falls back out into nothing. Everything comes out of nothing and falls back into it.
Okay.
It's like there's no, after liberation, there's no me, therefore there's no stickiness. Is one way I put it,
Yeah.
There's just life, and there's nothing getting in the, or identifying with it.
Did you dream?
Oh yeah, well I don't, but dreaming happens.
Dreaming happens.
I'm sorry
yeah.
to be.
No,
I'm not
sorry,
being,
I understand what you're saying.
dreaming happens.
Yeah. And are they interesting dreams or?
Oh, just as a matter of, it doesn't really matter, but the dreams after liberation are much more ordinary than they were before.
They're more ordinary.
Ordinary.
Yeah.
This is about something that is totally simple and ordinary. This is absolutely about something that's utterly simple and ordinary and absolutely stunning. Because, you see, there isn't anything anymore that's making calculations about what's happening. There's nothing that's looking at you and saying to itself, now how can I manipulate this situation with this person over there? That's all gone. Everything that arises is new. It's totally living in newness. It's like living in loveness. Because in love, falling in love has a very similar quality to this, because falling in love, in a sense, is beyond person. It's about being in love with love.
You talk about unrequited love on the front page of your website, yeah.
My sense is that, we're fascinated by unrequited love, the story of because in a sense it points to what we're really looking for, which we can't know and have, which is ultimate, absolute, unconditional love. So we can't know that, and we're fascinated by the whole story of not being able to find our love in someone else. Because somewhere subtly we absolutely know that the love we really long for is ultimately unknowable. But what's amazing about that love is that it's here in this room right now. That ultimate love is singing in our bodies, in everything. It's singing the song that the individual can't hear. Because the individual's looking for it. Where is it? It's here. It's this. Do you know, one of the loveliest things that happens, and many, many people this is happening to, I get a lot of phone calls from people saying, do you know, I've been a seeker, I've looked for this, I've looked for that, I've looked for, the whole list. Now this has happened, what's realised is that what I was looking for has never left me. It was always this.
Yeah. Actually, that touches me when you say that. Yeah. I can feel that. Yeah.
It's it's
Got the bag on the
microphone. That's it too. That's this too. But it's it's there right now. It's not. You don't have to be anything or become anything for it to be there. It's just waiting for you to give up looking for it. You know what I mean? It's just sitting there loving you and loving everything. Amazing. I'm still stunned by that. You can probably tell. I think it's the most amazing message there is. It's so simple and immediate. When people phone me up and say, tell me a story about them, because they're still individuals in the story, I say, so all there really is there is sitting on a chair holding a phone. It's amazing the effect that has on people. Because they're on about, he doesn't love me, or my mother's dying, or whatever. And suddenly there's an immediate bringing back to just what there really is, and what there only is.